Hey, everyone. My name is Andy Hall, and I'm coughing up a lung right now, and I'm sorry for coughing into your YouTube, Twitter tubes, Facebook group, wherever you're seeing this at. And I don't even have any water, really, to help me out. Look, we've seen Republicans, many Republicans, senators, representatives, governors, they hate Americans. They hate democracy. And Matt Gaetz is no different. In fact, Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida is a prime example. Let's just get into this first. This is like a taste, by the way. This is a little sampler before we actually get into Matt Gaetz. Oh, that sounds horrible. Getting into Matt Gaetz, that's horrible. And I just want to say right now, before we get into the news, is that, hey, if you love me, if you hate me, or if you just want to talk, there's actually a new patron level that if you donate $20, contribute $20 a month, and you actually get to talk to me privately, video call for 30 minutes. How about that? So if you're a Christian and you want to try to convert me, as long as it's nice, as long as it's pleasant, as long as there's no personal attack, sure, I'll talk to you. If you're conservative and think that I'm wrong about a variety of things, I'm also willing to talk to you for 30 minutes privately, nicely, without any personal attacks. And if you're just someone who's a fan, then that's great too. I don't know how many people. I'm gonna, maybe 10, maybe 5. I'm not sure. I haven't set a limit yet for how many people I can have at that level because there's only so much time in the day. But in case you do want to chat for half an hour once a month, you can contribute $20 onto the Patreon. Link to the description below. But why do Republicans hate Americans? We'll get into that. Don't worry. But let's look at this story. 63 Republicans vote against resolution expressing support for NATO and for democracy. It's crazy. Link to the story in the description below. This is a resolution introduced by Representative Gerald Connolly, a Democrat from Virginia. It was backed by a majority of the GOP caucus and every Democrat who voted, citing the threat posed by authoritarian regimes. We're looking at you, Vladimir Putin, as well as internal threats from proponents of illiberalism. We're looking at you, Donald J. Trump. The resolution calls on Biden administration to uphold NATO's founding democratic principles. It also advocates the creation of a Center for Democratic Resilience within NATO's headquarters in Brussels, with the center providing member states assistance to strengthen their own democratic institutions. If there's nothing that Trump supporters and Donald J. Trump hate more than democratic institutions, so of course they're going to be voting against this bill because they don't want democracy here. They certainly don't want democracy in Europe. Because let's not forget, democracy is the innate enemy of oligarchs everywhere. And that's why many Republicans, especially the Republicans who voted against that bill, hate America and they hate Americans. They love oligarchy and they love the money and the power that they get from oligarchs. Let's talk about Matt Gaetz, Representative Matt Gaetz. And we're going to talk about the U.S. healthcare system too at the same time. And I'm sure some of my friends in Commonwealth countries, countries that have universal healthcare, you are going to have, dare I say, a conniption. Gaetz justifies no vote on insulin cap bill by saying diabetics should lose weight. Yeah. Your link to the full story is in the description below, but it is true. Even people who have type 1 diabetes, even people who losing weight, really, they were just born with a need for insulin. He's telling them that they're going to still have to pay a lot of money for insulin and that they should lose weight. Once again, this is actually worse. The actual story is worse than the headline. Representative Matt Gaetz justified his vote against a bill that would cap insulin at $35 a month for most Americans by suggesting people with diabetes should first lose weight before Congress steps in to help. The Florida Republican claimed on Twitter on Thursday and in his newsletter a day later that obese people, not pharmaceutical companies, are running up the drug's price, writing that insulin's costs increases as waistlines increase. So here's a classic example of a Republican fighting for the righteousness of pharmaceutical companies to bleed us all dry. 1 in 10 Americans suffer from diabetes, and more than 1 in 3 have pre-diabetes. The CDC says type 1 diabetes, of course, is an autoimmune disease where the body is unable to create insulin, requiring it to be taken to survive, while type 2 diabetes, the body doesn't use insulin well, and it's caused by several factors. So you got to wonder about Matt Gaetz and let's not forget, fascists are stupid. They're mean and stupid. So if Matt Gaetz says that he's the proponent of small government, how is he going to make sure that people lose weight in order to get cheap insulin? Are there going to be people with tape measures going around to see how big your waist is? Insulin costs have sharply increased over the last decade, with some insulin users spending, and hear this, users using upward to $2,000 a month on the drug. I want to say it again for the cheap seats. Some citizens of the U.S. are spending upwards of $2,000 a month on the drug. About 1 in 4 Americans reported rationing insulin to save money. I'm going to have to say it because it took me several times to read this to actually wrap my mind around it. People are rationing insulin, a medicine that they need to survive, because insulin costs so much. What was that number again? 1 in 4 Americans, citizens of the states here, are rationing their insulin. How is it that we have a first world military and a third world, and I think this is an insult to third world countries, to tell you the truth, a third world healthcare system? Among Americans who take insulin, about 1 in 5 would save money under the proposal, a Kaiser Family Foundation analysis says. Arbitrary price controls are no substitute for individual weight control, he said. Wow, I'm not even going to read the rest of his gibberish. That's how, and have you noticed, everyone? Have you noticed that most of the Republican solutions for problems just make the problems worse? The war on drugs, for an example. The war on drugs just makes the situation worse. Their war on poverty. Have they officially declared a war on poverty? I don't know if that's their branding, but that's what it is. Their war on poverty. Right? And making people more poor. That's what their war is. In Florida, this is how you can tell that Gaetz hates his own people right here. In Florida, which Gaetz represents, about 28% of the people are obese and about 36% are overweight, according to the state's health department. About 13.1% of Floridians, or 2.4 million people, have diabetes, according to the Florida Diabetes Alliance. The bill will have to attract at least 10 Republican votes in the Senate to overcome a filibuster and become law. I don't think that's going to happen, because Republicans do like to vote for oligarchs and against democracy. That's what they like to do, everyone. All right, I'm going to check out the chat and see how everyone's doing this morning. And hey, just to let you know, we're doing the after party after show at 9:15 on the other channel, on the Naked Diner podcast channel. If you want to be on the panel, the link is in the description below. Scott Duke says, I'm overweight and have diabetes. I don't know how to respond other than to say F you to someone like Gaetz. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, his constituents in Florida are needing cheap insulin, and Gaetz is telling them to go F themselves. Dr. Mordecai says a poor person will take half of their antibiotics to sell the rest. if they could, they would, definitely. But realistically, aren't there market studies to show what's driving up insulin prices? Well, there's price gouging, right? It is simple price gouging on the pharmaceutical industry. You don't have Canadians paying $2,000 a month for insulin. Do hit the like button. Why, thank you, John Hudson. I appreciate it. MC Fractal, glad to see you here in the chat. If you haven't seen MC Fractal's art, it's incredible. MC Fractal, if you want to drop a link in for your site, feel free to. I feel Inquisitor Bacon, even though I'm a vegetarian, I like Inquisitor Bacon's name. I feel like he thinks insulin is only needed if you're overweight. I'm not surprised Gaetz is that idiotic, though. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. So, hey, if you're watching on Twitter or if you're watching on the Facebook group, then you can come on over onto the Laughing in Disbelief channel and join us every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. You do hear a little bit of music. I think I had the music on to calm my nerves before the show, and now it's just rolling. Do you like the music? I don't know if you do or not. Simply Secular Dave from Canada, of course. Canadians paying for insulin. Yeah. I see what you're doing there, Dave. All right. I'm going to drop the thank you video. I'm going to drop a cat video too, because this is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show, and I'll see you at 9:15, hopefully, right? And once again, if you agree with me, if you hate me, you can always join up on my Patreon for $20 a month, and you can tell me face to face what you think. The link is to the Patreon to my Patreon account is in the description below, everyone. All right, I'll see you in a couple of minutes. If not, then I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Take care.